get everyone to take their seats. I'm sure we are all excited to get started. My name is Ashley Hanger and I'm the founder and director of Strip Supply. This time last year I was in our founder's shoes pitching for ilab's top prize, but this year I'm your MC for tonight. And it is my absolute pleasure to welcome you to the 2022 ilab Accelerator Pitch Night. I would like to start by acknowledging the traditional owners and their custodianship of the lands where we stand and work. We pay respects to the elders, past, present and emerging, who continue cultural and spiritual connections to country. We recognise the important role Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people continue to play within our community and their valuable contributions to Australian and global society. Now, a few housekeeping items before we get started. In the event of an emergency, follow the little green men around the room to your exits. Bathrooms over to your left, down the stairs. Any questions, please feel free to approach anyone in a Black Ventures t-shirt. They'll be able to help you out. And after all the pitching is done, we will be moving into the surrounding bar areas where you will have the opportunity to meet the founders for yourself and network with everyone. And of course, we would love for you to share tonight's event on your social channels. So please use the hashtag ilab2022, which will work on all of your favourite platforms, so we can help make some noise for our amazing founders. The event is also being live streamed, so hello to everyone tuning in at home. Now let's move on to the main event. First, I'd like to welcome Professor Deborah Terry, AO, Vice-Chancellor and President of the University of Queensland, to deliver the welcome address.
Thank you very much, Ashley, and welcome everybody. Isn't this the most amazing space? So it's great to be back here for another year. Now, can I too begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the lands on which we are meeting tonight. We honour their elders and their continuing cultural and spiritual connection to this land as we walk together on the path to reconciliation. I'd also like to acknowledge Nimrod Clayman, our Head of Entrepreneurship, and the entire UQ Ventures team. And I think a big round of applause for all the work they've done getting us here tonight. Our donors for tonight's cash prizes, Jason Titman, Executive Founder and Director of the Integrate Group, Tanya Titman, Chief Digital and Innovation Partner at BDO, and Daniel Vessels, CEO of Jacaranda Finance. And thank you very much, Jason, Tanya, and Daniel, for your support. A very special welcome also to the founders who will be presenting tonight, as well as our guests and my UQ colleagues. The UQ Ventures ilab Pitch Night is a very special event on our annual calendar. It is an opportunity for us to come together to celebrate entrepreneurship within our own community at UQ. And viewed more broadly, this event gives us just a small insight into the burgeoning innovation ecosystem that's developing right here in Queensland, right now. As a nation, I think we all appreciate that Australia has a very proud tradition of successful discovery and innovation and invention. Just consider for a moment some of the discoveries that Australia has given to the world. IVF, Wi-Fi, ultrasound, the bionic ear, and of course the cervical cancer vaccine Gardasil that was developed in a laboratory at UQ. These are all Australian inventions based on homegrown discoveries that have changed our world. However, while we do have this national strength in research and discovery, it's also true to say that Australia doesn't have quite as strong a track record in the commercial translation of our own inventions. Throughout our history, unfortunately, Australia hasn't had a particularly strong tradition of entrepreneurial activity or a robust culture of innovation. And that's a real shame because it's meant that on multiple occasions we've missed opportunities to make our own future. We've missed opportunities to translate our strengths in R&D into products and services that could create economic and social benefits for our community, for our nation. And we've missed opportunities to build new industries and new jobs right here in Australia. But I'm convinced that this situation is now changing. The federal government has recently announced an additional $2.2 billion of funding for the commercial translation of research, with a focus on 6 major industry sectors aligned to our areas of national competitive advantage. Here in Queensland, the state's Innovation Places strategy will be released imminently. It will set out the roadmap for developing Queensland's innovation precincts over the coming decade in the lead up to the 2032 Olympics. And there are already very promising signs of increasing activity within our own ecosystem here in Queensland. Over the past year, 2 companies founded by UQ graduates, I note, have achieved unicorn status, meaning they have a market valuation in excess of $1 billion. The first, of course, is Tradii, a manufacturer of fast chargers for electric vehicles, and the second is Go1, which operates an online corporate training marketplace. Both companies are run from Brisbane, and both companies now employ hundreds of people globally. Their success is a demonstration that we do have the capacity to build globally competitive businesses in knowledge-based industries. And that is precisely why we're here this evening. At UQ, one of our primary strategic goals is to enrich the community in which we're embedded. And one of the many ways that we do this is through our Ventures program. Ventures offers a variety of activities and experiences aimed at cultivating the entrepreneurial skills and mindset of people right across the UQ community, the entrepreneurs of the future. Ultimately, our ambition for the Ventures program is that it will equip more of our graduates with the skills and confidence required to start their own businesses and to become the creators of our shared future. Out of all of the programs that we offer through UQ Ventures, undoubtedly the ilab Accelerator is the peak program. And tonight is the culmination, the pinnacle of that program. The 11 groups that we'll hear from this evening have each spent anywhere between 3 months and 3 years bringing their business ideas to life. UQ has supported each of them with a $10,000 equity-free grant, as well as connecting them with the mentors and the resources they need to accelerate their success. Between them, they are seeking to drive change across a wide range of sectors, including manufacturing, construction, healthcare, tourism, hospitality, and software development. But despite this diversity, you'll recognise that these founders also have a great deal in common. They're all building businesses that are founded on a clear purpose, and they're all fuelled by passion for making a real difference. To me, these are the distinctive qualities of successful entrepreneurs everywhere: passion and purpose. I can't wait to hear the pictures and to learn more about how they're planning to make their impact and create change in the world. Thank you very much. Enjoy the evening.
Thank you, Professor Terry. Now I know everyone is eager to get underway and we will get started in just a few minutes. I do want to let you know that you will have an opportunity to vote for your favourite startup at the end of the pitches tonight. Tonight we are awarding 2 cash prizes of $5,000 each, thanks to the generosity of our donors. To decide on the ilab Entrepreneur of the Year award, we have an amazing panel of experts here with us tonight to put the teams through their paces. We have Professor Sarah Pearson, who is the main Sequence Ventures investor and non-executive director at RACQ. We have Dr. Vu Tran, the Chief Growth Officer and co-founder at Go1. And we have Jason Titman, Executive Director and founder of Integrate Group. Please join me in thanking our judges for being here tonight. Now, as we do have a lot of teams pitching tonight, the judges have been given strict instructions that we're only doing 2 questions, okay? And I mean strict. You have been warned, 2 questions only. But your vote will count as well. At the end of the night, you will have your say for who wins the ilab People's Choice Award. Okay, without further ado, let's get pitching. First up, we have Vacayit with founder Hayley Brown. Hayley was Guitar Hero World Champion, topping the charts for 2 days before she became a full-time world traveller and then a full-time entrepreneur. Please welcome Hayley.
So recently I went on a trip to Tasmania and I loved it. And I can guarantee that I can convince everyone in this room that you will want to go in just 2 photos. Here is the top of Wineglass Bay. And here is Hobart. Doesn't that make you want to go? I know this may seem funny to you right now. However, this reality is not funny for my friend Henry, who has been blind since birth, or for the 461,000 Australians who are blind or have low vision, or for the 250 million people globally who want to travel but don't have the tools to do so. Currently, blind and low vision tourists rely on tools and platforms that are designed for sighted people to find tourist destinations to visit. Henry's disability does not stop him from doing everyday activities. However, experiences like this is disabling. Hi, I'm Hayley and I'm the founder of Vacayit, and we are creating the world's leading audio-based tourism platform. We are replacing images with sounds, stories and history clips from destinations all around the world so users can make informed and independent decisions before they travel.
Upon arrival,
and here's one of our
Australia's
clips.
largest craft distillery, the scent of cane country wafts in the air, breathing in the sweet tang of molasses.
And we have hundreds of clips just like this one from all around Australia. In fact, we're on track to have 75% of the Australian market by the end of this year, and then so that we can go global next year. And all of these stories are stored within our Vacayit platform, which has a minimalistic layout, making it really easy for assistive technology like Screen Reader to navigate through the pages. If we just focus on targeting blind and low vision tourists, that is an additional $2 billion that can go directly into the Australian tourism economy within 1 year. Vacayit is free for our users. Our paying customers are destination marketing organisations, where they pay a monthly fee to have their stories hosted on our platform, as well as for the access of curation of content and voice recordings. In just 1 year since inception, we have won awards both nationally and globally, winning the World Tourism Forum Young Talent Program, winning the Australian Government Accelerator for Enterprising Women, as well as recently being selected as one of 8 teams in the world's leading disability tech accelerator, Remarkable. Of our immediate team, 50% are blind, and collectively, we have 20 years experience in accessibility, 12 in tourism, and 20 in tech and development. Now that we're rapidly growing and expanding, we're looking for a passionate CTO to jump on board, as well as destination marketing organisations from all around Australia to start creating content. The tourism industry is hurting, and we have people who want to travel. Let's put them together now, not in 6 months, because everyone deserves a holiday.
Thank you, Hayley. What an incredible business to kickstart tourism again in Australia. Let's see if the panel have any questions for you. Okay, Sarah, let's start with you. Do you have any questions for Hayley?
Hayley, that was absolutely fantastic. You had me in tears when you showed the product. It is a beautiful product and so sensitive, big opportunity, a really awesome description of the issue. My question is, you've got this beautiful, big, bold vision of going global, obviously Australia first and global next year.
Yep.
How do you access consumers?
Yeah, so we've got a really solid rollout plan, and what we're planning to do is we've partnered with both the leading blind organisations to launch through their platforms, as well as launching through the remarkable tech Accelerator. As far as actually getting the product out in the news and traction, we luckily are going to send out a press release in every single region that we're in Australia. So that will be able to access everyone through there. And then from there, we'll track the metrics and have changed those user experiences as per how the users are using it.
Great. And Viru, what about you?
So as I'm looking at it, I'm just thinking to myself, do you view yourself as a marketplace of content? Because you've got your customers actually creating the content. And in that sort of circumstance, have you considered how to keep it up to date or how to make sure they keep it up to date?
Yeah, so what we're doing is we're working with regions so they collectively make 15 experiences a month for the first 3 months to populate our app, and then after that they populate it 10 every single, as a part of each contract, they have to make 10 per month. And so that's a way to keep the content coming in.
Great.
Cool.
Thank you, Sarah and Viru, and thank you, Hayley.
Thank you.
Okay, on to our next pitch. I would like to introduce Shefali Gupta and Andy Epifani, co-founders of Uuvipak. Pitching tonight is Shefali. She is a research scientist with a PhD in medicine. She loves dancing, playing badminton, and skydiving. And she is now on a journey to fight climate change. Welcome, Shefali.
We all know that plastic pollution is a problem, but how much impact does it have? This piece of plastic from 1976 was found on a beach in 2019. We thought we solved the problem with bioplastics, but they need proper industrial facility to biodegrade, and they can't even be recycled. So we asked ourselves, what if we could create an alternative to plastics using only natural ingredients that can naturally biodegrade? Uuvipak is not only 100% biodegradable, it's home compostable and edible. Yes, you heard that right. Since we only use natural ingredient, you can actually eat our products. And since they are safe for us to eat, they are perfectly safe for the animals and plants they come in contact with. Uuvipak is made from underutilized, clean organic food byproducts, like the byproducts made from processing grains or making juice. By doing so, we reduce carbon emissions. We recently filed a provisional patent for the chemical composition of our raw materials. We are currently working with local food and drink manufacturers, including Grove Juice, to collect and process their waste into Uuvipak products. We plan to make Uuvipak locally in Australia to cut off the carbon emissions that are generated from importing and transporting disposable products. We know how challenging this is going to be, but we are designing a fully automated system powered only by renewable resources to compete on the market even with plastics. We started by making Uuvipak products for the food industry, and we have currently ongoing partnerships with food retailers all around Brisbane. But this is not where we are going to limit ourselves. Our raw material can actually be molded into any shape or size. So just imagine the possibilities out there. The global bioplastic market is expected to grow to $324 billion by 2030. With such huge opportunity, we believe that this is the right time for us to enter into the market. Our team has both science and engineering knowledge to bring Uuvipak to life. I'm Dr. Shefali Gupta with 10 years of research experience as a scientist, and Andy, my co-founder, is an engineer and was an early employee in a very successful Brisbane-based startup. We are currently looking for investments to bring Uuvipak to as many people as possible. So if you are interested in investing for a better future, then please do reach out to us. Be part of our mission to replace 2 billion pieces of plastics with Uuvipak by 2025. Start today by checking out our products. If you are lucky, they are right underneath your chairs. We are also announcing pre-orders on our website today. So if you'd like to find out more, please visit uuvipak.com. Thank you.
Well done, Shefali. We're going to get Andy to join us on stage. So there you go. If you do get peckish tonight, you can just take a little nibble of the Uuvipak samples. How incredible is that? Let's see if the panel has any questions for you. Sarah, do you want to kick us off?
Shefali and Andy, well done. Another awesome presentation. I just want to encourage you to think big in terms of your investment. I mean, right now, this is a huge opportunity as well as a massive issue. When it has been for over a decade. I remember back in the day when I was working in the FMCG sector, we were looking for this sort of thing. At Main Sequence Ventures, we invest in this sort of thing, and we invest in we also invest in PhD students. So like I say, think big. My question for you is, how are you going to access these big markets? Like, as I say, FMCG sector is crying out for this sort of stuff. But how, given the competition in this space, what's your thinking about getting to market?
Yeah, great question, thanks. So we've been partnering with a few Australian distributors already, and they've shown a lot of interest in our products. And we've spoken just recently with a US-based company that is trying to replace packaging, not just made from plastic, but also cardboard that is not very sustainable. And they're also interested in collaborating with us. So I guess there is a huge opportunity if, for us to reach out to the industry, and the response has been awesome.
Yeah, and the Fed's announced a lot of money for it just this week. So.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Thanks, Sarah. And Jason, how about you?
Yeah, thanks for that, Shefali and Andy. I think we thought we'd solved the problem, or the world thought they'd solved the problem 10 years ago, but as Sarah said, we certainly haven't. So great initiative and presentation. As a bit of a follow-on question, I guess, what do you sort of see yourselves? I mean, if you had investment capital in there, would you become a designer of more and more of these products and do it under licensing, or would you look to kind of establish your own manufacturing facilities? I'm just kind of understanding where you see the growth path for your company.
Yeah, great. So right now, probably both, although we are focusing more on the manufacturing because we want this to be produced locally, as we mentioned in the presentation, so that we can use locally sourced materials and kind of cut off on the supply chain and also the sales, chain on the other side. So probably more on the manufacturing side. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Jason. Thank you, Andy and Shefali. Next, I would like to welcome Derek Skolnick from Lean Systems. Derek is a UQ computer science graduate and exercise enthusiast. Away from the computer, he enjoys rock climbing, cycling, and partner aerobics. Acrobatics, sorry, not aerobics, acrobatics. More impressive. Please welcome Derek.
What do all these products have in common? They're all assembled by humans. Believe it or not, fully autonomous factories aren't the reality for most manufacturing. Humans perform 72% of the world's manufacturing tasks. Assembly of complex goods, such as electronics and medical devices, require a level of dexterity and flexibility that only humans can perform. Assembly factories around the world are losing millions of dollars a year because they're not making as many parts as they plan. This gap between their plan and what they actually produce is because their operations are inefficient, but they're unable to identify the cause. Currently, they're using pen and paper to collect data on their operations, but it's extremely time-consuming, and most of the data isn't included. They need a better system to figure out why they're missing targets. Our solution is TackTime, a web app that instantly collects production data on any device. We're able to collect more detailed data without taking operators away from their work, replacing their pen and paper and the hours of work that come with them. The data is displayed in dashboards that give companies granular insights into their operations. This allows them to identify exactly why they're missing targets so they can implement countermeasures. So does it work? Let me tell you about our first customer, a company in New York that assembles medical devices. They're losing $6 million a year due to inefficient operations. One of their stations needs to make 150 batteries every shift, but they struggle to make 100. They're only reaching 67% of their planned production, leading to orders left unfilled and significant overtime. This has been going on for months because they've been unable to identify the issue with their pen and paper data. They started using the app and redistributed their labor based off the data they collected. In just 4 weeks, they've increased production by 40%, reaching all-time high productivity. Applied to all of their stations, they'd make an extra $5 million a year. I'm Derek, the founder of Lean Systems, and I completed a computer science degree here at UQ. I've been surrounded by manufacturing and its challenges my entire life. Both my parents are engineers in manufacturing, and my grandpa was a tradesman at Ford for over 40 years. Growing up, I've heard too many stories of the problems that could be easily solved by digital tools, and I'm excited to now be working with industry experts to build them. As you can see, we have a great opportunity to improve the world's manufacturing operations. We're looking to do more pilot testing here in Australia, so if you know anyone in manufacturing that would be interested, have them contact us. Let's improve the world's manufacturing efficiency.
Well done, Derek. What an awesome pitch. Let's see if the panel have any questions for you. Jason, let's start with you.
Yeah, exciting stuff. I can really see, we're seeing so much more opportunity with big data now, and the more that you can get it in the data science side of things, really exciting. I guess from a technical perspective with what you're building there, can you just give us a really quick overview of how your app is ingesting all of this data, given there are so many different manufacturing systems out there? Do you have to sort of build an integration with each of them, or are you getting it from a data lake or something like that?
Yeah, so there's a model in the background that is able to log and relate events that happen, and there's minimal input from the operator. So there's a few buttons that they can click, and they might interact with the app maybe 10 times throughout the shift. And the model in the background helps to relate all of that data and give the companies actionable insights.
Great, thanks, Jason. And Vu, how about you?
So manufacturing is such a big area to target. Where are the industries that you think you'll have the most penetration early on? Like who's at the top of your list in terms of industries you target where you go, our application can actually make a big difference here and I can get some easy traction early? What would they be?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So we're specifically trying to address data in assembly companies. We can put IoT devices on machines and collect data on that, but currently it's very difficult to track data on labor. And so the major industries we're looking at are electronics, consumer electronics, medical devices, sensors, anything that's really complex that needs to be put together by humans.
Awesome. Thanks, Vu, and thanks, Derek. So next up, we have Angela. Matthew Curl and Tradii Meaty are the founders of Angela, and Matt will be pitching tonight. He is a Master of International Economics and Finance graduate from UQ, and he's also a live musician. You can catch him playing at venues around Brisbane and promptly attempting to network with the managers after his set. Let's welcome Matt.
I'm here to tell you a story. I wish I didn't have to tell it, but it's something we've heard far too many times. So Jane was at a busy nightclub on a Saturday night in the Valley. She was waiting at the bar, just ordering a drink, when a man approached her and began talking. At first, he seemed like any other guy, so she had a chat to him, but he eventually led her away to a more isolated part of the club, away from the vision of the bar and most of the staff. It was there he became more controlling in his behaviour, his speech, his body language, and as she tried to leave, he assaulted her. Now, this is just one story, but actually it's something we hear time and time again. In our own research of over 250 people who go out, 60% reported being personally sexually harassed or assaulted on a night out, with the majority saying they'd been in a situation in just the past year where they wanted help to safety. Now, current solutions rely on a person in this situation finding a bar staff member to talk to, and then using coded language to ask for help, which is just not possible in so many of these situations. So introducing Angela. Angela is an app that allows a person to send an alert through to a venue in a potentially dangerous situation. Designed to be as simple and fast to use as possible, the standard use case is as follows. The user clicks the urgency level, what type of help they need, and shares their location, meaning that within 4 taps, help is on the way. This is sent through to the venue, who receives all the information they need to locate, identify, and help that user get to safety. Now, the team we've assembled to deliver this consists of 4 co-founders. There's myself. I have a formal education in business, economics, and finance, and a decade experience in the live music industry. Tradii, at the young age of 21, has a wealth of business and startup experience. And Xavier and Douglas are talented software developers who have already successfully created the alpha version of the app, which is soon to be released on Apple's testing platform. Now, we're going to release this free for users. We don't believe this is something people should have to pay for. Instead, we'll be running a venue subscription model, and our value offering to venues has 3 clear points. Increase safety at their venue, which improves PR from both the governmental and private perspective, and the very direct benefit that anyone using this app is going to be more likely to frequent a venue that is using this service. Now, our ask is simple. Come and say hi. We're looking for the right people who are as passionate about this as we are to help guide us on the next stage of our journey as we release and begin talks with larger hospitality groups. Our nights out can shape our stories and our lives. With Angela, let those stories be of safer nights out. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. What an incredibly moving story. Over to our panel. Sarah, do you have a question?
Thanks, Matt. It's sort of any questions feel a bit useless compared to what you're trying to change. So thank you that you're trying to change what you're trying to change.
Thank you.
I liked the way you started with what I call reaching for the reality. Yeah, right at the beginning, you made it really real for all of us. That was really good. I love the simplicity. Fantastic. I can imagine as women, like I'd get onto it. I'd absolutely use it. Your challenge is going to be the bigger venues. Have you started any early chats, or are there any partners you're thinking of that you could go with? There might be Humanitics, or you might be some other sorts of partners that you might think of going through. What's your thinking?
For sure. We're starting out small as we want to really make sure that we get this right, especially with the core concept of the alert system. So we're starting out with some of the uni bars. The Red Room, for example, at UQ has already signed on to help us trial and test in these early stages, as have the QT bars. Outside of uni, we also have Little Big House in South Bank, who are keen to get on board, and we're in talks with a few others. So basically, we're starting out small. We want to really trial and test, make sure we get it right, and then from there, once we've got that concept nailed down, we want to begin to talk with the larger hospitality groups who can unleash this on a much bigger scale.
Thank you, Sarah. And Vu?
So, you were talking about scale before. Have you thought about how any differences that this would pose, say, in other countries or in other jurisdictions outside of Australia?
For sure. I mean, this is obviously, the bread and butter is for starting out as Australian venues. But outside of the country and outside of just venues, there's anywhere where there is security and users, or some sort of authority and users, this can be applied. Obviously, we need to make sure that when we are putting this into other countries, we need to make sure that training is going to be there to make sure that people are responding correctly and know how to deal with sexual harassment and assault claims. And for that, we are in talks with Full Stop Australia, who are the only accredited provider of the Good Night Out campaign in Australia, who go in and train staff on how to deal with these situations. And the Good Night Out is a worldwide campaign, so it's something we could partner with in other countries.
Great. Thank you, View, and thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Okay, our next team is FuturEcook. Dr. Un Tran and Dr. Andrew Pascal are founders of FuturEcook, and tonight Un will be pitching. Un is a mum to 2 incredible human beings, a UQ PhD graduate, a humanitarian engineer, a social enterprise founder, and in her spare time, if she has any, she likes to fly aerobatics loop-de-loops in a light aircraft. Okay, let's hear it for this incredible human being, Un.
In 2018, I visited 3 refugee camps in Rwanda. I asked the refugees what their most important energy challenge was. Their reply surprised me because it was unanimous along gender lines. 100% of the men said electricity. Meanwhile, 100% of the women said cooking. Cooking is a gendered challenge. It is the women and the children that spend hours collecting firewood and tending the fire to simply eat. Cooking over a fire is also increasing deforestation, not to mention the health impacts of being exposed to black carbon and fine particulates. I also asked the women if there are any safety risks in collecting firewood. There was silence. There was fear in their eyes. Women and children are often brutally attacked in this daily task. And I asked myself, how could this possibly be in this day when the technology already exists that we cannot protect the women and their children? This challenge is a very personal challenge to me. I'm a daughter of refugees, and I am here to amplify their voice. We started FuturEcook, a social enterprise that is a solution that is a win-win for the whole community. We combine electricity with cooking, eliminating the need for firewood. We have efficient electric cooking devices coupled with smart meters to save time and money. Our market is 270 million, supporting schools that are focused in the United Nations organisations. That's millions of school children and displaced people. We are working with an organisation to roll out our system in Asia and hope to expand to Africa in the next year. Our business model is about expansion and scale. That's where the real impact happens. The service is free for school children and cooks. It is the schools, governments, local and international organisations that will pay the fee either upfront or with the monthly subscription model. We will also tap into carbon credits, grants and donations during the startup phase. Our team is made of passionate engineers and developers. We have 40 years experience together in this space. Today, I invite you to join us in this revolution at FuturEcook. We have a social media campaign to raise money for $60,000 to expand our work in Asia. Electric cooking is a win-win, win-win that improves the health, gender equality, education, and the environment. Thank you.
Thank you, I'd like to welcome Andrew on stage as well. You guys are cooking up a very delicious social enterprise. Let's see if the panel have any questions. Sarah.
Thanks, Anne. Thank you very much for that. Something very, very dear to my heart, which is around helping people in the Global South. So I'm not going to ask you a question. I'm going to give you a bit of advice around some places to look for money. There's a couple of companies, organisations that I'm involved in. One called the Global Innovation Fund.
Yes.
They have blended finance, loans, equity, grants, so check them out.
Yes.
I'm on the board of that. And then another one is called Impact Investment Exchange, Asia. I don't know if you know them, but they are the world's first women's livelihood bonds. They've just announced orange bonds. They've just launched this globally. And you might think about this as a model for actually women within the Global South to set up businesses. Not you, but the women in the Global South to set up those businesses and get money to do that.
Thank you very much, Sarah. That's completely our model, where we hope to employ all the women locally for our organisation. That's fabulous. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. And Jason, how about you?
Yeah, congratulations to you both. Great presentation there and incredible initiative. So, I can see there's so much opportunity for it out there. Can you give us a bit of an overview of what you would spend that $60,000 that you're raising the money for? Just a real quick kind of snapshot. What are the most key priorities?
So the key priorities are it'd be in a country in Asia with a local organization that already has connections there and has been there for a while, and it'd be about training and fielding the product, and also getting carbon credits. The lead time for carbon credits is about 2 years, so we need to start that process soon in order for them to start rolling and get us 5 years down the road where we're finally profitable.
Right. Thanks, Jason, and thank you, Anne and Andrew. Straight on to our next pitch. It is my pleasure to welcome Alex Beard, co-founder of the Network Loop. His co-founders are Rachel Huang, Amelia St. Baker, and Andy St. Baker Radici. Now, Alex was a theatre and film professional turned e-mobility product and marketing guy. So the Network Loop allows Alex to perfectly culminate his past and present in perfect harmony. Let's welcome Alex.
How would you feel if you'd bought a piece of Canva in 2016? A company that now has a valuation of over 60 billion Australian dollars. My name's Alex. I'm from the Network Loop. We're going to make it possible for anyone to invest in startups by producing a TV show like Shark Tank through which viewers can invest alongside the judges. This is Sophie, a sophisticated investor. In 2016, Sophie invested $10,000 in Canva. And this is Alex. Alex is an everyday Australian. Alex couldn't invest in Canva. 6 years later, this is how it's going for them. There are 9 million everyday investors in Australia. That is half of the adult population. And we know that investors are looking towards more alternative forms of investment, with 30% of the entire population invested in some form of cryptocurrency. Aussies are moving away from traditional forms of investment in favour of higher risk, higher return investments. I mean, it is the 21st century gold rush. Wouldn't you want to invest in the next big thing? So you may have heard of crowdfunding platforms like Kickstarter. But you may not have heard of equity crowdfunding. It's basically the same thing, but instead of receiving a thank you note in exchange for your money, you receive a piece of the company. As the value of that company grows, the value of your piece also grows. So we combine equity crowdfunding with an entertainment show called Investor X. It's like Shark Tank, but with that added functionality of viewers being able to invest as well. By doing this, we unlock a lot of capital for a lot of startups very quickly. So, very quickly. Love it when this happens. So basically, what happens is we have a show that's essentially like this. There's the founder pitching, the 3 high-profile investors looking to invest, and all of you investing alongside them at home. And the way that works is at the end, if the investors decide to invest, you can invest directly alongside them through our platform. And it's that combined money from our viewers and the people on the panel that fund the company's pitching. The equity crowdfunding market is worth $26 billion globally. It's currently worth $100 million in Australia, but grew 600% in the last year. And that is why the time is right for the Network Loop. We generate our revenue through 3 distinct areas of opportunity. They are capital raise fees, a clip of equity clip of companies that we successfully raise for, and nearly endless possibilities for future lines of business with our community of engaged followers. Between our team of co-founders, we have 30 years of experience working within the entertainment industry, within banking, investment, and working within startups. We are the right people to bring this vision to life. We're also gaining momentum, and fast. We are assembling our panel of high net worth and profile investors. We have secured a partnership with an equity crowdfunding platform, and we are in discussion with 2 free-to-air television stations. So if you want to invest in or buy a piece of the network loop before we're the next big thing, scan this QR code, sign up to be a part of our launch event in August, and we'll be revealing our major investors there, and we'll also be equity crowdfunding our own company. We're the network loop, and we are making it possible for anyone to invest in startups.
Well done, Alex. I'm so excited to watch Investor X. So can we also get Amelia to join you on stage? And let's pass it over to our expert panel. Jason?
Okay, Alex, thank you. Slick presentation, and thank you for this idea to you and your team, because I've often watched Shark Tank and Dragon's Den and thought I'd love to invest in some of these companies and haven't been able to. So I think it's a great initiative and it'll be well received. What about the government sort of regulation, ASIC and that sort of stuff? I assume you've looked into it. What implications do you kind of see that you need to be considerate of?
Yeah, so that's definitely one of the most important considerations we have. We don't want to be accidentally stepping on any AFSL issues. So we've got two things we're doing. We're currently partnering with an equity crowdfunding platform, and they're the ones that do hold the crowdfunding license and the AFSL. However, we're also in discussion with lawyers at the moment just to make sure we do abide by all those rules and make sure we have the correct disclaimers and service agreements to make sure we are covered.
Thanks, Jason. And Vu?
So I'm going to be cheeky. I'm going to defer my question to Sarah because you guys are going for her deal flow. So, Sarah, or yours?
Okay, Sarah, how about you?
We've got plenty of deal flow, we're not worried. So, I like the democratisation of anything that's wonderful, so I love what you're doing in terms of democratising access to investing. That's awesome. How are you going to get your deal flow? How are you going to attract the people with your great ideas to your platform? And that's the supply, and then the demand. How are you going to attract people who want to invest in it?
It's an interesting question because, so there's two target groups where we want to attract the deal flow, but we also want to attract the investors. It's actually going to be a very similar pool of people we are pulling from. I think probably most people in this audience watch Shark Tank, but also I'm assuming a lot of you also have startups. So they're the same type of people we are going for. So we're going to be definitely leveraging the profiles of the expert investor panel, and they've got over 1 million followers collectively, the ones we've secured right now. But we're also, that's why we're going down the free-to-air television route, where there's about 300,000 people watching on average on some of their programs. So we're definitely going down that route to get the viewers.
Thank you, panel, and thank you, Network Loop.
Thank you.
So our seventh pitch for tonight is Graphics et al. Chris Pimble, the founder and CEO of Graphics et al, will be pitching tonight. Chris is a graphic designer turned scientist turned startup founder. When not building her startup, Chris can be found fishing on a boat. Please join me in welcoming Chris.
I'd like to start by showing you two different instruction manuals. The first is for the COVID-19 rapid antigen test, the nasal swab one. I can see some of you have probably had to do this a couple of times before. If you had to take this test at home, you probably had to read this instruction manual 5, maybe 10 times. It's pretty rough. Good news, our second manual is a lot easier to understand. To assemble a table from IKEA. It is a ridiculous comparison, but did you know in the US alone, improving patient educations could save 70,000 lives and recover $137 billion in lost pharmaceuticals revenue every year? So how can companies efficiently create these materials and overcome language and education barriers as easily as an IKEA manual does? Graphics et al. Is a subscription software that lets you easily create scientifically accurate images and animations in minutes. It's like Canva for science, with a simple drag and drop interface and a library of over 10,000 scientifically accurate digital assets. We create the assets our customers require during the onboarding process. This ensures great product fit, while also rapidly expanding our library for all our users. With this software, companies can save time and money by creating their education materials without needing to rely on graphic designers or marketing firms. This also gives them the ability to test and innovate these materials as they come across scientific breakthroughs. Over 14,000 businesses contribute to a global pharmaceuticals market valued at $1.27 trillion US. Our plan is to initially focus on North America, the UK, Australia and New Zealand to onboard 200 new corporate customers in our first 2 years. And this is just pharma. With our current library, we also support agtech, biotech, medtech and digital health. This software is live right now. We already have over 450 users from institutions around the world. We're also in the process of onboarding our first global corporate customer and developing partnership programs with consultants to drive sales. Our core team has more than 23 years experience in digital art, 40 years in science, and 15 years in software development. We're uniquely experienced to be able to onboard and support our customers. So now, let me ask you this. Which one of these manuals do you think is easier to understand? This is a really exciting time for us. As we introduce more companies into our sales pipeline, we are preparing to shift from startup to scale up. If you'd like to join us on this journey, come chat to me tonight. We'll be looking to raise in the coming months. Graphics et al. Simplify complex concepts.
Thank you, Chris. Well done. I know I could have used a more informative rat test instruction booklet. You don't want to screw up those babies. They're more expensive than petrol.
I've done them in labs. I've had to read them 5 times myself. It's pretty bad.
Well, there you go. Let's pass over to our panel. Vu, any questions for Chris?
So, who are the sort of partners you'd be looking to target globally? Like you mentioned pharmaceutical companies as one example, as one vertical. What are other sort of partners you'd be looking to target?
The incredible thing about this software is that because it's basically designed as individual assets, anything that is a STEM-focused company is a potential customer. So we're originally starting in biological sciences, agtech, biotech, medtech and digital health because that's where our researchers' experience lie. But we're completely customer-led. So as we bring in new customers, we create content to meet their needs. So really any STEM company is what our goal is.
Thanks, Vu. And Sarah?
Chris, fabulous idea. Great to see you pitching. And a really good description of the issue. I like that contrast. I also love the combination of science and art. You know, I can't stand silos, so it's brilliant that you're bringing all that together. My question is around the pharmaceutical industry. So you've chosen the pharmaceutics industry, which is great. I can see the obvious uses there. There's another use which is actually around the people with the health challenges. So again, I'm thinking about the Global South, where there might be something in that in terms of helping it make it more simple for people in the Global South to know when to take their medicine and stuff. Anyway, the pharmaceutical industry is really, really, really difficult to get into. So how are you breaking into that supply chain?
So we've been extremely fortunate to already have come in contact with some consultants who work in the pharmaceutical industry and have long histories of being strategic marketing managers, and they love this product. They're actually willing to go to bat for us and try and introduce us into the industry. So we've been extremely lucky in our connection so far.
Wow, great. Thanks, Sarah, and thank you, Chris.
Thanks.
I would now like to introduce Lewi Software. Vishnu Avadayanaigam and Geraldine Taradabellis are founders of Lewi Software. Vishnu and Geraldine will be pitching together tonight. Vishnu is a cricketer turned engineer turned software developer, and when he isn't busy with Lewi Software, he's either on a cricket pitch or on a soccer pitch. So tonight's pitch should be a piece of cake. Geraldine has had many jobs, a particular favourite being a Japanese language tour guide. She is currently an engineer and a startup founder, and Geraldine is a passionate advocate for queer people in all spaces. Let's welcome Vishnu and Geraldine.
Let's go.
So, two friends, completely different backgrounds, different life experiences. Here's how we went from strangers to co-workers to co-founders at Lewi. So here we are in 2019, only a few weeks into our friendship, I'm a wastewater engineer by trade, and Vishnu was the master's student working at the wastewater treatment plant. So, wastewater, maybe not the most glamorous of industries. It can be odorous, chunky, hairy. But if you believed I loved every single second of being an engineer, well, almost every single second. Here's a rundown of a day in the life of an engineer. So you walk in the door and your boss asks you to run through some calculations, just make sure they're right. You think, okay, that's pretty easy. But as you're going through, you notice some inconsistencies in the data they used. You ask your boss, they're not sure, all good. You open the proprietary software that's been used for this project, you wait 5 minutes for it to load, and it gives you a ton of data. After going through all that data, you find that number you are after, but then it doesn't match the initial calculation. So you read the project brief and the appendices. You realize now that you've got more questions than answers, you've got multiple windows open, and you've just worked through lunch. After experiencing this over and over and over again, we started to ask ourselves, how do we make simple problems simple again? And how do we create room in the day for joy and efficiency?
And considering the global chemicals industry is a $4 trillion market, improving efficiency can have a huge impact. By addressing the struggles faced by engineers like Geraldine and myself at Lewi, we are aiming to revolutionise the intersection of chemical engineering and software. Our products integrate and automate chemical engineering, allowing users to complete all of their tasks in one app. We've taken elements from each of the required tools and linked them together with our unique solver. Our products save asset operators time and money, and we're already working with some of the biggest brands in the industry. Our purpose is to simplify engineering with better software, with a calculation framework that solves problems in a new way, in an industry that is often reliant on software developed in the 90s. The Australian market for water and waste services is $6 billion, but the majority of assets are serviced by just the 22 largest utilities, including our customer, Urban Utilities. So our plan is to use this narrow customer base to lock down the Australian market before taking our products to the global $360 billion industry. At the moment, we're looking to grow our presence here in Queensland and would really appreciate an introduction to any of these 5 utilities. We are Lewi, 2 friends coming together to re-digitalise chemical engineering one drop at a time. Thank you.
Well done, Vishnu and Geraldine. Let's make data simple again.
Literally.
Over to the panel. Sarah, do you have any questions for our team?
Yeah, Geraldine and Vishnu, thank you so much for this. Great pitch, and the talent warfare right now is huge. I mean, we just have such a shortage of engineers. We're always looking out for them. So I think from that perspective also, it's got a really big impact that you can have. Companies are scrambling madly for engineers. So I think that's a big impact that you can have. I'm wondering if you have any customer feedback yet and how you think you might then go global. I mean, Urban Utilities are an awesome utility entity to be working with, but how are you going to take that global?
Yeah, so it's a great question. And one of the great things about working with utilities is there is a collaborative environment to developing things that are better for society. It's interesting you mentioned our dual skill set. As both chemical engineers and software developers, we see problems everywhere in the industry. So our plan is to partner with these utilities, and between just 22 utilities, they service around $100 billion of assets in the water and waste market here in Australia. So we really see that as an opportunity, as an entryway to service that market. And then because our products are based in chemical engineering fundamentals linked to economic potential analysis, it's very transferable. So we can then take that, yes, to a global water and waste industry or to adjacent sectors such as the bioprocess industry and mineral processing. And in terms of the feedback, particularly in the bioprocess industry, because a lot of these processes between input and output, it takes several days or weeks. By giving them tools to make decisions a lot faster, they can actually fix problems before it turns out in the product. And that's a huge selling point for them to avoid those issues.
Great, thanks, Sarah. Jason?
Great pitch, guys. It never ceases to amaze me the number of opportunities you can find when you really understand an industry, which you obviously do, and how manual it is still, or be using spreadsheets. I guess Atlassian showed that you could take software that wasn't sexy to the world. They had a pretty good pricing model in doing so. Have you guys thought about your pricing model, particularly given that you want these introductions? So, yeah, how are you going to sort of price it?
Yeah, so our design tools are priced per engineer, whereas our asset optimization tools are based per site. And so that way that we see that between the opportunities presented in bioenergy and wastewater and waste in Australia, by servicing companies in their bioenergy needs, between 10 to 15 customers, we think that we'd be able to capture single-digit revenue in the millions. And that's from the asset optimization piece. The revenue growth in the design tools is a little bit slower, we project, because there's an interesting conflict where we have two strategies. One is empowering consultants, and one is empowering the asset operators to reduce reliance on consultants. And so that's where we're still sort of working out those mechanics with the business model there. But again, because it all comes back to this visual-based decision-making with simultaneous chemical engineering and economic potential analysis, both of our products are very similar and transferable. So, yeah, just how to take them to market we're still playing with some of that.
Oh, there's so much passion here. Well, thank you, panel, and thank you, Lewi. Okay, we're up to pitch number 9. We've only got 3 pitches left. So next up, we have Go Locum. Phoebe Bardsley and Josh Case are founders of Go Locum. Phoebe will be pitching tonight, and she left her job as a corporate data analyst for the new age hippie lifestyle of tech founder and Gold Coast hinterland farm manager. How cool is that? Let's hear it for Phoebe.
We have all experienced that terrible moment when we can't make it to work. Maybe your car breaks down, your flight's delayed, or you fall sick. Just 2 weeks ago, my co-founder Josh woke up to go to his shift at the Mater Hospital, only to find that his street looked like this. If we weren't personally impacted by the floods, we all know someone that was, and my heart truly goes out to all those impacted. Workforce shortages created by absences like Josh's are operationally costly, and in the worst case scenario, they can impact a hospital's ability to deliver safe patient care. We don't want any more headlines like this. So this is where locum doctors come in. Locums move from place to place, pursuing short-term contracts to fill these gaps. The pay for these jobs is very high, but organising them is a complete nightmare. In fact, this is what the current process looks like. It's long, unnecessarily complicated, and in true hospital fashion, involves far too many fax machines. Hospitals are paying a premium for this service, up to $4,000 per doctor per day. We've got a better way. Using Go Locum, doctors can book shifts in minutes instead of hours. Our web platform aggregates all the available locum jobs, which makes finding the best opportunities fast and painless. We're automating as much paperwork as possible, which means that doctors only need to supply their credentials once and not every time they apply for a new job. We're integrating built-in end-to-end invoicing, which means that doctors can rest assured they will be paid on time. All of this means that getting a high-paying locum job through Go Locum is as easy as booking an Airbnb. How do we make money? We offer referral fees from agencies. Standard rates at the moment are $2,000 per doctor. We also take a percentage of shift revenue booked through the platform. We've got the team to pull this off. I have experience working in health advisory for Deloitte, and my co-founder Josh is a doctor and software developer. We've both experienced firsthand the difficulties that hospitals have with filling these gaps. This is not just the right thing to do. There is a significant market opportunity. If we target just the Australian medical locum market alone, that's a $1 billion total addressable market. If we then include expansion to all other health professions, the US, UK, New Zealand, that's a $45 billion opportunity. And that doesn't include tapping into the billions of dollars spent on medical overtime. So, we'll be raising capital to grow our team and suite of product features in the next few months. If you're passionate about health or know someone that is, we would love to connect. Let's make healthcare safer and more affordable. Thank you.
Awesome job, Phoebe. Let's get Josh to join us on stage. And over to the panel. Jason, let's go to you first.
Great. I always love seeing these new ideas come out, so thanks for that. Well explained, but I guess where I'm trying to sort of understand a little bit more is, you're obviously a marketplace there bringing two different players together. Who is your customer in terms of the hospitals? Is it going to be the private hospitals? You're going to have to get into the government hospitals? Because I also heard you talk about placement agencies. So maybe just to give me a little bit of an overview of that aspect of the ecosystem.
Yep, so essentially we're a marketplace between agencies and doctors. In the future, we would like to include expansion to hospitals, but we've had a lot of traction with agencies at the moment. And there's a lot of friction at the moment between an agency and a doctor, and significant efficiencies that can be achieved through automation. Anything to add, Josh?
To add to that, ideally we want to build a solution that is suitable for both the private and public sector. There's advantages to both. For those who've worked in healthcare, it's a lot easier to get a deal done in the private sector. I think a lot of people will appreciate that. But perhaps the most urgent workforce shortages do occur in public hospitals. A private hospital can close a ward or not offer operations. Public hospitals don't have the same luxuries. So it's our ideal world would be to be able to meet both of those needs in the future.
Thanks, Jason. Vu, do you have any questions for our team?
So tomorrow afternoon, I'm going to go and moonlight as a GP. I do that every single week, once a week, and I'm going to send 20 to 40 faxes. I literally will. Where the problem, the doctors are the problem, the supply side of the marketplace that Jason was talking about is the biggest issue, not the agencies, not the demand side. How are you going to get doctors who are sending faxes like me, Luddites like me,
Absolutely.
to actually use technology?
I feel your pain, Vu, because I've been there many a time. Look, there's a couple of different approaches to that. We are lowering the threshold for a doctor who doesn't currently locum to enter the locum marketplace by lowering the headache. At the moment, it's not really worth, for example, a middle-level doctor like me to take one random Saturday shift or a Sunday shift in a regional area because of the headache associated with it. So by lowering that threshold, we're hoping to activate more doctors who don't currently locum. And for the doctors who do locum 1 week a year, 2 weeks a year, we can increase the amount that they do by making the experience painless. On the point of GP locums, we've had a very strong amount of interest for GP practices that want to recruit doctors, particularly in regional areas, but we do acknowledge that there's a very strong supply and demand issue there. So at least in the GP ecosystem, we don't really address that supply-demand issue yet, although we have a couple of plans in the future about how we can address that to do with importing doctors and that sort of thing and help that happen. Thanks, Vu.
Great, thanks, Vu, and thanks, Go Locum. Okay, we are on the home stretch. We're up to the second last pitch of the night. And next up, we have Tradii. Lachlan Wortman is the founder and CEO of Tradii. Lachlan is a UQ MBA graduate and management consultant turned terribly average actor, these are his words, not mine, and terribly enthusiastic entrepreneur. Let's hear it for Lachlan.
Who here has ever been told by a plumber or an electrician that they will have a tradie out to you ASAP? And by ASAP, they actually mean sometime next week between 6 a.m. and midnight. This problem exists because the time and cost of running a construction business that involves vehicles can be overwhelming. And it often feels like you spend more time scheduling than doing the job itself. Imagine if businesses could slash the time spent scheduling from an entire day to just seconds. My name is Lachlan Wortman. I'm a UQ MBA graduate, former management consultant to the construction industry, and now the founder of Tradii. I understand all too well the challenges that construction companies face. For the last 10 years, I've worked in this industry and have personally felt the pain of trying to get multiple tradesmen to multiple jobs while trying to convince you, the customer, that I would get there on time. The kicker? I had even less confidence than you that it would happen. Enter Tradii. Tradii is a project management software for the construction industry that saves time and money by improving driver scheduling. We use an AI similar to the likes of FedEx to schedule thousands of jobs in seconds rather than days. Quite simply, one single employee could schedule an entire day's worth of work for thousands of drivers doing hundreds of thousands of jobs with a single click of the Optimize button. In 2019, over 1.15 million Australians were employed by the construction industry. That is more than 13% of our total labour force. Take a second to let that sink in. Tradii's business model works on a per-user subscription, which means that almost every single construction worker in Australia is part of Tradii's total addressable domestic market. We are now looking to raise up to 1.5 million for our next round, as we currently have a very long waiting list of customers trying to get access to Tradii, but we cannot onboard them fast enough. This money will be used to develop self-onboarding so that we can remove that first growth constraint towards achieving scale. Please come and speak to me after if you'd like to find out how you can be a part of this journey in less time than it takes to order that next plumber. Thank you.
Awesome. I always knew Tradii time was a thing.
Yes.
Awesome pitch.
Absolutely. Not their fault.
Oh, absolutely. Sarah, do you have any questions for Lachlan?
Thank you, Lachlan. As Jason said, it's always great to see someone who's setting up a business based on a real pain point they've experienced and seen within industry, and then jumping out and setting up something themselves. So that's awesome. So obviously you really understand the sector. You understand what the pain point is. My question is, how do you get into that? How do you sell into that industry? Because it's like the pharmaceutical industry, it's like the doctors, it's like the hospitals. Yeah. It's one of those notoriously difficult sectors to actually sell things and new ways into. How are you going to do that?
Yeah, that's a really fun question. I think there's actually a misconception that the construction industry doesn't like technology. What I think the construction industry don't like is they don't like complexity. They don't like it when there's 5 or 6 different systems that are bumping into each other, or where they have to open one app and remember passwords for multiple things. What Tradii is beyond just this incredible route optimization algorithm is this total project management system platform that integrates safety forms and invoicing and the job, and then combines it with the power of the scheduling. And that's where we've really sort of hung our hat on, is the fact that we bring it all together. And for once, a construction industry person can actually take a single product, give a single product to their tradesman, and give a single product to the builder and a single product to the end customer, and it finally all comes together. And what we've actually seen now is this groundswell of enthusiasm for a simple solution that is, yes, it might be digital, but finally it's simple. And that has what I think has really changed the whole game for us.
Thanks, Sarah. And Viv?
You mentioned there was a lot of interest and people waiting to come on board. Where are they coming from? Where are those channels that you're actually getting these leads and these potential early users from?
Yeah, it's ironic that you asked that question, because it's so much of it's coming from health. The solutions that we've developed here within construction expand to almost every other industry, and obviously our focus now is to tackle construction, but the market is enormous because the solution works. The big one is coming from builders, because the builders have so many problems that are getting solved by people now doing their work on time, solving problems on time, getting to jobs on time, that there's actually this sort of top-down pressure, which means we're getting this sort of real appetite for it, which is great.
So thank you, panel, and thank you, Lachlan.
Thank you so much.
Now it is the lucky last pitch of the night. It is Eclipse. Siobhan Costa is the founder of Eclipse, and she started out as the youngest female bookie in Australia, so you know she's not afraid of taking risks. Her passion for food and nutrition led her to become a dietitian before working as an investment banking consultant and completing her MBA. Let's hear it for Siobhan.
Hi, I'm Siobhan, founder of Eclipse. Today we are at a critical point in history. As a dietitian, I know that billions of people, myself included, struggle to get enough of the right nutrients. But I also know that the best source of these nutrients is from animals, like iron and calcium. But animals are destroying our planet, emitting more carbon than the entire world's transport system. Our food system is unsustainable, and it cannot support the growing needs of our population. So how do we prevent a future of malnutrition, disease, and unequal access to nutrients? Well, at Eclipse, we are reimagining what is possible using the world-leading technology of precision fermentation to make the most important nutrients from plants instead of animals. It's sustainable, scalable, and animal-free. We do this by taking the DNA of the nutrient that we want and adding it to yeast. We combine that with sugarcane in a fermenter, and as it grows, it makes the nutrient using a fraction of the land, water, and carbon with no sacrifice to quality and without a single animal. We have assembled a world-class team, including some of CSIRO's top scientists, to reshape the future of our food system. The ingredients we make will be added to food, drinks, and supplements, a market experts tip will grow by $300 billion in the next 6 years. That is $300 billion of ingredients that do not yet exist. And with so many to choose from, we knew we had to select the right first ingredient. And we have chosen lactoferrin, an incredible protein in breast milk that builds babies' immune systems and boosts iron. Today, we get it from cow's milk, but it takes 10,000 litres to make 1 kilogram. So it is scarce, expensive, and absent in infant formula, meaning 85% of Australian babies are missing out on this crucial nutrient. But forget cow lactoferrin. This month, we made human lactoferrin from yeast. Sustainable, scalable, animal-free, and better for our babies, with the key target market being infant formula. We already have letters of intent from customers that want to purchase our lactoferrin, and we're cementing our go-to-market partners. What is more, our partnership with CSIRO gives us IP protection and the ability to outscale our competitors with world-class facilities and scientists. Our revenue projections are projected to reach at least $90 million by 2027 from lactoferrin alone, and that is the first of many ingredients. And tonight, I am excited to announce a $3 million raise to take human lactoferrin to market. We already have interest, but there is space. So if you want to join us on our mission to reshape the future of our food system, get in touch tonight. Thank you so much. I'm Siobhan.
Wow, what a way to finish the night. Thank you, Siobhan. Let's head straight to our panel. Sarah.
What an awesome way to end the pitches. Thank you, Siobhan. That was fabulous. You've got me. About 10 years ago at Cadbury, we invested in this sort of technology to develop gelatin, non-animal gelatin, because we needed to move into markets where we didn't want animals involved. So it's been going on a while, but it's now exploding globally, and particularly in Australia. I will have a question, but can I just say, please reach out to Main Sequence Ventures. We have a huge portfolio in this space, and there's an accelerator we're about to invest in, plus we're about to invest in large, like really large-scale fermentation here in Queensland, which is very, very exciting. So anyway, my question, how are you going to get it to market? Obviously, there's a big market when you talk about, infant formula. You obviously think China and Fonterra and all those sort of issues, but how are you going to get to market?
Yeah, so I've already spoken to many infant formula companies, and the great news is that they provide a number of different products, from infant, toddler, and adult products. And in Australia, what we're looking to do is first go through the regulatory process of being able to access the toddler and adult market, followed by the infant formula market. And I just had a discussion this week with Singapore in terms of the regulations over there. And the great news is that that actually has a similar time frame to our adult regulatory pathway to get to infant formula in Singapore. So about 18 months is the application process in Singapore. So Australia and Singapore are the first markets.
Great, thanks, Sarah. And Jason?
I think, as you showed there is so much growth opportunity in food tech and ag tech. So it's a space to watch. I'm sure it is. And one of the things, biggest secrets, I suppose, or not secrets, but important thing for founders to do is to stay really focused. But just can you give us an idea, beyond the lactoferrin, what else do you think could come down the track that you might be working on?
Yeah, 100%. So it's actually two nutrients I mentioned at the beginning, iron and calcium. So both of those nutrients, the best source of them is from animals, whereby they're better absorbed when we consume iron or calcium from animal products. And so what we're looking at potentially doing next is seeing how we can make the versions of iron and calcium through iron-binding proteins or iron-binding calcium that will have a similar absorption and bioavailability to the iron and calcium we get in animals.
Okay, terrific. And I know I was supposed to keep it to the two, but I guess seeing you with Cyro there,
Yep.
yeah, I assume you've covered off IP and all of those sorts of things, given you're asking for investment. Yep. Okay.
Great. Thanks, panel. And thank you, Siobhan. Big round of applause. Well, that brings all our pitching to an end for tonight, and now it is your turn to get involved. But first, let's thank you to all these amazing founders for their fantastic pitches. I think we can all agree that the judges have their work cut out for them tonight. So voting is now open for the People's Choice Awards, so please refer to your program for the QR code. I believe it may appear on the screen behind me, maybe not. But while we give you a few minutes for voting, it is my pleasure to welcome Mr. Nimrod Clayman, Head of Entrepreneurship at UQ, to the stage.
Thanks. Excellent. Thank you, Ashley. The 2022 ilab program is without a doubt one of the largest and most diverse cohort. For the past 3 months, we have seen 11 amazing teams working exceptionally hard to interview customers, validate their ideas, and refine their pitches over and over again. Historically, accelerator programs around the world have lower rates of female participation. Interestingly, this is the first ilab cohort ever with more female founders than males. And we will keep working in maintaining the gender balance. In addition, among all of our founders, students, and alumni, we have a representation from each faculty at UQ. As we know, it's really easy to engage with business students, but today we had students, alumni from all faculties: engineering, medicine, social science, science, humanities, and hubs. On behalf of UQ, we would like to express our sincere thanks to our many mentors who have rolled up their sleeves and our network of professionals who contributed to the development and delivery of 2022 Ventures ilab Accelerator program. Without them, we couldn't achieve this amazing outcome. A round of applause for all of them, please. Thank you to our 3 judges this evening for asking the hard questions, Sarah, Vu, and Jason. Thank you. And now, I would like to ask the judges a question. With Pitch Night marking the end of this 3 months accelerator program, what would be your feedback to our startups? Firstly, let's start with Jason. What parting words do you have for the ilab startups? Jason?
Thanks, Nimrod, for that. As we're sort of going through our deliberations, I almost thought I wanted to resign as a judge because it was very tough, very tough. Look, you know, really good. It's hard to get out there and kind of put in front of everybody, put yourself out there and put those vulnerabilities. I think when you're presenting, people did a really good job of sort of giving the vulnerabilities of it. And also then starting to take us on a bit of a narrative and a bit of a story through. 3 minutes is not long. It is really, really tough. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more on the financial side of things, but once again, as I said, for 3 minutes, there's very little you can do. But sometimes a slide in there just giving us a really quick visual overview, because as judges and certainly you know, when you are pitching for capital, it is tough to get that across. People are getting very distracted. So I think just have some slides in there with some graphics would be really good. The other sorts of things that I would say as you go on this journey, don't think that it is necessarily a badge of honour to raise capital. I think too many founders get out there and they're always constantly talking about raising capital. There is a time and a place for it, but if you can bootstrap yourself, I think that's a really good area to do. Total addressable market is probably something else as well. I think it's a lot of times I see founders and companies that are trying to scale quickly get into a delusional sense about what is their real total addressable market. And they talk about these massive numbers, but when you break it down and dissect it, you really can't address those areas. I'd also say, you know, don't be frightened to pivot is another thing. Some of these ideas are fantastic, and we've talked about them briefly as judges. Some of them, though, as you get into it, a pivot is something that can be really good. And know both your financial and non-financial metrics. So, look, they were excellent presentations tonight, really excellent presentations, and all great businesses. So taking nothing away from kind of prior years, I thought every one of them tonight is investable. So you should feel really good about that. Yeah, thank you, and look forward to having a bit of a chat to people afterwards.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that, Jason. Sarah.
I'd like to echo Jason's words around the excellent businesses. Really, really fantastic and exciting businesses, all creating change in the world, which is awesome. I'd like to congratulate the program deliverers because the pitches were superb. They were really professional. They got across most of the information that you could in 3 minutes, as Jason said, but well done to the program deliverers, because that's not an easy job to help people on that journey. I want to celebrate the diversity. I know that we struggle at Main Sequence Ventures to find female founders, but you have a wonderful group of fabulous women who have been pitching tonight and who are building their businesses and who will change the world. And I want to congratulate you for choosing those women, because it's well known that women are the best entrepreneurs in the world, as Vu pointed out a minute ago. So well done you. They're all early stage, so I wasn't expecting a lot of really strong evidence and support for global growth. But I would really encourage all of the entrepreneurs, all of the founders, to think about how they're going to scale up right from the beginning. If you leave it till later, you set up the wrong business models and the wrong partnerships and things like that. So I'd really encourage all of the founders tonight to think about this scaling piece, how they're going to take over the world right from the beginning. I know in Australia we tend not to do that, but let's do that. And then also echoing what Jason said about the funding. Think about what funding you need. What money do you need? Like, it doesn't have to be equity. Could it be a loan? Could it be an impact bond? You know, think of there's so many ways that you can be funded nowadays, including obviously bootstrapping. So think that through, but don't just think about the money. We're really proud at Main Sequence Ventures about the fact that it's not just the money, it's actually the calibre of the people who are investing in you and then will take you on the journey and draw you in with partnerships. So think very carefully about the sorts of money and the sorts of people that are giving you that money in terms of your growth. Thank you.
Excellent. That was great. Thank you so much. And Vu, what are your feedback?
I don't think there's much left for me to say. You guys have taken it all. I'm just going to reiterate 2 key points. One is congratulations to everybody involved, not just the companies that are pitching, but also everyone involved in organising tonight. The calibre was extremely good. I think Y Combinator's winter batch is going to go, they're doing their demo day this Sunday or something like that, and I'd put every single one of these pitches up against them any day. I think don't underestimate how good the calibre of the pitches tonight were. Mm-hmm. And the second thing I'd also reiterate, which I think we spoke about, is the idea of whatever's going to get you to where you want to be doesn't have to be about raising money, doesn't have to be about venture. It's what's that pathway that's going to get you to where you want to be. You know, at Go One, we've raised hundreds of millions of dollars, and that's gotten us to the path we want to be on, but that's not necessary for everyone. And I always remind people that the best form of investment a lot of the time is revenue, right, in so many different circumstances. So I just reiterate what my fellow judges here have said, is that we've got really great calibre pitches tonight. Everyone should be incredibly proud. And, you know, that that ability to be able to sort of cut your own path is definitely going to be there in front of you with all the different options that are around today that probably weren't there, say, 7 years ago when we were up on stage pitching.
Excellent. That was great. Thank you so much for all your feedback. So now, while the judges are making their tough decision, I would like to say a big thank you to our own ilab manager, Emily de la Peña. She will come at some stage, so. And here, Emily, that she's behind the scenes and orchestrate all the program and these amazing events. Well done. Thank you. And our two entrepreneurs in residence, Zoe Black and Yotam Rosenbaum. Yotam and Zoe. So this is Zoe's first ilab cohort, and she has done a fantastic job. We are very grateful to have her on our team. Thank you so much for that. Zoe, would you like to share a few words about your experience of supporting ilab founders?
It's been an absolute honour. As you can see, we had a group of really ambitious, passionate entrepreneurs. What you saw tonight was people who are really putting their dreams out on a stage for you, which is a huge thing to do. So we're incredibly proud of them tonight. They've been through a lot of ups and downs, but all the way through, they made the job easy for us, I suppose, because they have a great sense of humour, which I think is fundamental to any founder getting through a journey like this. I would also like to thank the guest speakers that we've had throughout the program, which are founders that have been on this journey themselves, because they were all very raw and honest about some of the real rock bottom moments they've had, as well as some of the wins. And that's the really inspiring part of the program that really help our founders visualise where to from here.
So thank you, Zoe. Unfortunately, this will be Yotam's final ilab program. After supporting 2 years, 2 cohorts, as well as supporting various ventures, programs, and events. So, Yotam, thank you so much for your time, for your contribution, your support. You made a difference. So, would you like to say a few last words before you depart?
You make it sound like I'm going to go away forever. But yeah, I just want to thank everyone, including the people in the audience here and online, as well as to the Ventures team, Nimrod, Emily, Zoe. It really, sometimes I felt like I'm cheating because it didn't feel like work. It was just fun. Also, big thank you to all the founders who participated in the cohort. It was just an absolute pleasure to work with everyone and to see the progress from, sometimes, just an idea on a napkin 3 months ago that turns into an actual business with customers and revenue. It's extremely gratifying. And I suppose lastly, I would like to thank the University of Queensland for supporting and continuing to support the ilab Accelerator program, which has just unbelievable value. And I hope they'll continue to do that for many years, and that we'll continue to see many, many great companies coming out of it. Thank you.
So thank you both, and I will hand back to Ashley. Thanks.
Thank you, Nimrod. Now, I have been told we did have a small glitch on the People's Choice voting, so if you haven't voted yet, jump back on now, refresh, and submit your vote. You've still got a little bit of time. But I will like to now welcome Mr. Rongyu Lee, the Deputy Vice-Chancellor of Global Engagement at UQ, who is going to announce our winners.
Thank you, Ashley, and good evening to all. What a night. I could actually sense the buzz and the positive energy. I think I could even tell that our Vice-Chancellor was inspired by the energy and by the buzz and by the enthusiasm. You could tell from the tone when she came and delivered that speech. Very different, very powerful. Could I please invite all the teams back on stage Nobody's coming. Congratulations to all the founders. You did a fantastic job tonight, and well done on completing our rigorous Accelerator program. I think you are all winners. I think voting is about to be closed. Thank you all for sharing your thoughts on the pitches this evening. While we wait for the team to get the results together, I would like to take the opportunity to thank our amazing judges. It's a privilege to have leading industry experts supporting this process. Thank you, Sarah, Wu, and Jason for being here tonight. We truly appreciate your time and expertise and for putting the startup through their paces. The 2022 Ventures ilab Accelerator Pitch Night was made possible thanks to the generosity of Jason Titman, Executive Founder and Director, Integrate 8 Group, Tanya Titman, Chief Digital and Innovation Partner, BDO, Daniel Wessels, Chief Executive Officer, Jacaranda Finance. Thank you to our MC tonight, Ashley. How good is she? She's done an amazing job at keeping this event on track. I'm looking at my watch, and it's to the second. Also, a special thank you to our global engagement team who has worked behind the scenes in putting this event together. So they deserve a lot of credit as well, in close partnership with UQ Ventures team. My heartfelt thanks does go to UQ Ventures team. They have worked tirelessly with our passionate entrepreneurs for the past 3 months, providing guidance, support, sharing their real-world experience. A sincere thank you also to the mentors, advisors, and guest speakers who have contributed to the 2022 program, many of whom are here this evening. The program would not have been possible without your support. And of course, thank you to our audience for joining us tonight here physically and via the live stream. Before I announce the winners, I would like you to join me in congratulating all the teams here tonight. Tanya and Daniel, could you please also come to the stage? This is like an Oscar moment, the envelope. It is my great pleasure to announce the winners. The winner of the People's Choice Award for 2022, voted by the audience, Network Loop.
I love it when this happens. On behalf of the Network Loop, I'd really love to thank our mentors and teachers here, the founders that we've gone through this with. As an actor, I'd have to thank the venue staff and thank you all for being here tonight. This company is for you, and we hope to see you involved with what we're doing. Thank you.
Congratulations again to Network Loop. Now it gives me great pleasure and honor to announce the winner of the 2022 ilab Entrepreneur of the Year Award, as chosen by our excellent judging panel, Eclipse.
So much. It's been the most incredible journey, starting out with the entrepreneurial capstone through the MBA UQ program and now ilab through UQ. Incredible, and thank you CSIRO as well. So excited for what is to come and reshaping the future of the food system.
congratulations again, and a big congratulations to all. As I said earlier, you're all winners coming to the stage tonight. It's a lot of courage, and especially actually our judging panel, because I wouldn't be giving up my job, for their role yet. So there's a lot of courage. It's so competitive. Anyway, congratulations, and I will now hand it back to Ashley. Thank you.
So many friends on stage. How exciting. Thank you, Rongu, and a big congratulations to the Network Loop and to Eclipse and to all of our teams tonight. What fantastic pitches. And thank you all for coming and for watching online. Please stick around for some drinks and some food. We do have food that isn't the Uuvipak under your chairs. A reminder, it is hashtag ilab 2022 for socials. We would love to see all your pictures, all your comments from this evening. Our startups are now going to go out and be positioned around bar tables, so please go keep them company, go say hello, go tell them how much you love their pitches. Thank you, everybody, and good night.